Hi, and welcome. My name is Debbie Dietz, and I am the Executive Director of an organization called Disability Independence Group. And I'm going to give you a virtual description of myself and my background. I am a white woman with long red hair. I'm wearing black glasses, and I have a virtual background that almost looks like the inside of a circus tent with stripes of different bright colors that are different shades of oranges, blues, and a pink magenta with my organization's logo in the top corner of your screen. And I'm here today with my partner, Tony, and I'm going to let Tony introduce himself in a moment. And we're here to introduce to you the video you're about to watch. The video is made up of our partners and the people that are working with us on this project. And we thought it would be much more interesting for you to listen to them than just to Tony and myself. So you're going to hear them talk about their experience voting, their frustrations with voting, what we're working on next with the REV UP project that we're working on, or Access the Vote Florida, and really what we've done in the past. So that's what you're going to see in the video as soon as Tony and I finish. And right now I'm going to turn it over to Tony to let him finish introducing the video. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and hello, everyone. It's great to be back together. My name's Tony DePalma. I'm the Director of Public Policy with Disability Rights Florida out of our Tallahassee office. I am a white individual with a largely gray beard, glasses, and a blue New York Mets baseball cap and a black shirt. Behind me is our organizational background with our logo, the words advocacy, equality, and dignity, and the color scheme behind me. And I might struggle with this, y'all. It's purple, pink, orange, maybe sherbet, and let's call it magenta as well. So like Debbie said, we're really excited to be back in touch with everyone. This is actually the third year that Debbie and I have had the good fortune of presenting in front of Family Cafe. And like Debbie said, we're really excited this year to do things a little different following a long year of adversity, as well as a very interesting election cycle. There's a whole bunch of stories that our coalition partners want to share, and a whole bunch of discussion around what the coalition means to them and ways that you yourself could become involved. Our meetings are every Friday or thereabouts at 11 a.m. We'll include information for how you can become involved. But without further ado, I wanted to throw it to my colleague, Jay Har. As folks who might have listened to us talk in the past know, Debbie, Jay, and I were the three folks who got together and decided to try out to formalize a chapter in Florida, a voting rights coalition chapter, which became Access the Vote Florida. But don't take it from me. Let's talk to Jay and let Jay tell you what this all means to him. So take it away, Jay.
We were founded in 2018 as a coalition. In response to the midterm election in Florida, we started out as simply just three powerful disability advocates coming together, noticing a void that needed to be filled. Access to Vote Florida is a state chapter of the REV UP movement started by AAPD. The REV UP campaign was started in 2016. It stands for Registered, Educate, Vote, Use Your Power. When Access to Vote began, we focused on 3 specific races in Florida. That for governor, state senate, and attorney general. We came up with a questionnaire comprised of 10 questions, which covered a wide variety of disability topics. We received about a third of responses to our questionnaire between the governor's race, the state senate, and the attorney general. We then posted the responses on our website, accesstotoflorida.org, and other social media sites, including our Facebook page, which you can find by searching Access to Vote Florida. Now I want to toss it to the next presenter in our presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Paula Roberts. I'm with Disability Rights Florida, and I just want to address why access to vote is important to me. For the most part, I feel that any individual or every individual who is legally registered to vote has the right to vote for their candidate that they feel expresses and supports their beliefs and what is best for them, their family, and their community. This country has endured years of voter suppression, and it is time for individuals, regardless of race, color, creed, ability, or disability, have the right to choose who they want in office. It is important because it gives them an opportunity for their views to be heard, for their decisions. And so access to vote means a lot. It truly gives, like I said, gives people the opportunity to voice their opinions and for the issues that they have been faced throughout the years that are systemic throughout our community to now be at the forefront and to be heard by our legislators and our congressmen. So therefore, the push for individuals to access the vote should not just start or continue throughout the legislative process, but year after year after year. The more we become more educated about the process and we learn the needs of people, the young as well as the old, having that right to vote, having that right to voice opinion, having that right to make decisions that will affect us now and later is truly important. Thank you for having me.
My name is Olivia Babas. I'm the Senior Public Policy Analyst at Disability Rights Florida, and I facilitate all of Access to Vote Florida's meetings and activities, programs. And we have had a really exciting year at Access to Vote Florida, even with the pandemic. It's definitely thrown some wrenches into our plans. We weren't able to do in-person candidate forums and some activities that we had planned as we were moving into 2020 and heading towards the elections. But we still had some great opportunities. We've seen a lot of growth within the coalition, and we're really excited about the things that we were able to do and the things that we have planned moving forward. For 2020, we actually held our first ever Elections Accessibility Summit, which was online. We had Zoom and we had it streaming via Facebook Live on our Facebook page. And we held 4 panels that covered website accessibility best practices. We had voting equipment demonstrations for the 3 accessible ballot marking devices that are used here in Florida, AutoMark, ExpressVote, and ImageCast. We had the Supervisor of Elections offices join us from Volusia and Orange County to give demonstrations on how those pieces of equipment worked and how voters with disabilities use them for in-person voting. We had Democracy Live join us and give a demonstration on how their program works and how that's going to be implemented in Florida for accessible vote by mail, which was available in 5 counties for the 2020 election. And we did assist with some outreach efforts there to make sure that voters were aware in those 5 counties that this was available for them. And this is something that will be available in all 67 counties for the 2022 elections. So something we'll definitely be working on for 2022 is making sure that all voters are aware that accessible vote by mail will be available. What was for me the most exciting panel was the panel on election security and accessibility. These are 2 communities that are often pitted against each other, and it has become a very divisive issue. We, of course, want our elections to be secure, and there's a belief that paper ballots tend to be the most secure form of voting. However, paper is not accessible for everyone with a disability. Of course, those who are blind or maybe low vision have a hard time with marking a paper ballot, but we also have other people with print disabilities that may have very limited dexterity. They may have degenerative disorders, Parkinson's disease, traumatic brain injuries. All of these affect someone's ability to be able to complete a paper ballot privately and independently. So we need to make sure our elections remain secure, but also make sure that we're not disenfranchising voters in an attempt to make elections secure. We also don't want to jeopardize election security in the name of accessibility. So these are conversations that are linked together and that we need to be having together and including both sides when we are having discussions about elections accessibility or security.
Hi, my name is Christine Rudd. I live in the Central Florida area. I have cerebral palsy, and I've been involved in advocacy for people with disabilities for over 20 years. I got involved with Access to Vote Florida because voting is important to me, not only for myself, but for other people with disabilities to be able to have their voices heard through voting. Accessibility in voting and other areas has been one of my main goals, to increase awareness for people with disabilities. And I'm excited for this year to do more outreach to stakeholders to make them more aware of the importance of having persons with disabilities use their right to vote and have accessible equipment when they go to the polling places.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Campbell. I am the first blind elected official. I am in a nonpartisan role in a state of Florida elected position, but as I said, it's nonpartisan. So why would voting be important, and why do you need to participate? What's in it for you? If that's what you're wondering, well, here is why. First of all, I think that voting is important, that we all get involved in our local communities, that we vote, because that's how we elect our local and state officials and our individuals that are representing us locally, state, and federally. And we need to have more individuals with disabilities participate in voting so that we have more representation at the table. It helps to make sure that we are all having a voice and that we elect officials who are interested in disability issues, because we certainly have a lot of unique issues and we need elected officials who represent us and who are willing to help speak for us. And I think that is why, for me, it's very important to be involved with Access the Vote and be involved in elections. And that's what's in it for you as well. We all need to be involved, we all need to vote, and we all need to be able to be part of the process so that we have the appropriate representation. My way of looking at it is you're either at the table or you're on the menu. I'd rather be at the table and be part of that vote. Thank you.
My name is Marcia Bucala. I used to live in Lake County in Florida, and I have since moved to Orange County. So voting is really important to me, and I have never missed an election. And it probably goes back to my mom. My mom was always, she always voted. We would also, and so did my dad, but we would always have to vote for a school levy in the area where I grew up in Ohio. And so even when I was in college and that, she always made sure that I got an absentee ballot to vote. So I have never missed an election. And as I got my vision loss, I still feel it's really important that everyone can privately and independently vote.
My name is Marilyn Baldwin. I am a resident of Orange County, Florida. I am legally blind with limited vision. I'm a member of the board of directors of the League of Women Voters of Orange County, and I am president of the Central Florida chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Florida. I am African American, for those of you who are vision impaired, and I mention that because ever since I was a young girl, registering to vote, being able to vote has been very important to me. It's a passion because of the civil rights movement. We've not long ago lost our champion, John Lewis, who used his entire life to vote, to serve in Congress and advocate for the rights of all people to vote. And when I look at what happened in the civil rights movement, voting is so important to all of us. And knowing that Access the Vote is committed to ensuring that all Floridians have the right to vote with accommodations that are necessary is to me one of the main reasons that I am involved in disability advocacy. A lot of the services and programs that we use and depend upon in our daily life are brought about and funded because of those who we elect to our state legislatures and to Congress, and yes, even to the President of the United States. So I just encourage each person who has a disability to please, even though there are some challenges and humps and bumps along the way, get out and vote, because it does matter. It can make a difference. And in the future, I hope that we will have many more opportunities using technology to vote independently, no matter what your disability is. I hope that we are able to remove barriers that prevent persons with disabilities from voting independently. And I hope that the different transportation coordinators throughout Florida will network with the disability community and ensure that people with disabilities have access to the polls. And I want to thank Access the Vote Florida, Tony and Debbie and Olivia for the work that they do that ensures that each of us has the ability to get out and get into good trouble by voting. Thank you.
Greetings, I'm Doug Hall.
And I'm Nancy D. Burgess Hall, Doug's wife.
The two of us are a team when it comes to advocacy. We've been involved with Access to Vote Florida for quite a while now. But of course, our advocacy goes way back before ATFL ever started. We've been advocates for transportation and for voting rights for years. ATFL just gives us another outreach option to spread information about the things that we are working on and the things that we find very important.
As to myself, I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and I come from a family that over the years has always been very much involved in the voting process. I've been voting since I was legally allowed to, but at the same time, my arthritis has progressed through the years, and so I've developing more and more dexterity problems. So it's given me an extra interest in Access the Vote Florida and other organizations to make voting accessible for all people.
On the other hand, I am totally blind since I was 8. I have not missed voting since I was able to first vote at age 21, which is when the voting age was then. So I voted for many years. And of course, I've gone through the thing from where it started, where they didn't want me to vote, to having to tell 2 people about how I wanted to vote, to bringing in a person that voted for me. And then back in the early 2000s, I was involved with a number of people that actually were able to get accessible voting starting here in Florida on machines. And then last year, we, with the Florida Council of the Blind, filed a suit against the state of Florida to force the state to certify accessible mail-in voting. And through negotiations that did happen. So I guess the big thing would be what happened as a result. Nancy and I and a number of other people were able to finally be able to cast independent, secret voting, mail-in voting in the 2020 election, because 5 counties were chosen to be pilot counties to test the idea of using accessible mail-in voting in the November election, and we participated in it. Prior to that, though, we advocated with our supervisor election and other supervisors of election to advocate for secret, independent, accessible mail-in voting.
And while we advocated with political entities, we've also done a push with educating the public. I created a flyer. We've reached out to the newspaper, to radio stations and other media, and done numerous interviews. And we also, anytime we're at another like homeowners meeting, we always bring it up too. So we've made a real effort to educate people, because the majority of people are unaware of accessible voting, and many don't even identify themselves as having a print handicap.
Thanks to the efforts of our supervisor here in Volusia County, we were able to reach out to organizations, to other people with disabilities. We did a mock election so that people learned how the system worked, so that when it came to the election, people were already aware, and we advocated, a number of us advocated to get people involved to participate. One of the things that we did, and thank goodness to Access to Vote Florida, we were able to spread information, and ATVFL spread information to other people, to let people know about voting and about the importance of voting and getting involved. And thank you, Access to Vote Florida, for the workshop that the group did in terms of voting, the summit. That was wonderful in terms of educating people about voting. And that's one of the reasons we're excited about being involved in this group, because this group enables us and the group to spread information to try to get more people involved in the voting process.
Now I would like to talk about a specific section of accesstovote.org's website, a section that I think is not only unique, but an enjoyable read. That being Access the Vote, Florida's official blog. We have created the blog to provide more information to the disability voter.
One of the reasons I enjoy being part of Access the Vote Florida is because we get to meet different stakeholders around the state. We get to work on initiatives such as trying to increase transportation for those people with disabilities that want to go to the polling places. And that also allows us to learn more about the different resources available for people with disabilities.
Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Dos Santos, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Center for Independent Living of South Florida. To me, voting represents having my voice heard and putting into practice my core beliefs. As an advocate for the disability community, I understand that voting is a powerful tool to spark change and challenge barriers for our most underrepresented communities. Being a part of Access the Vote Florida has given me the opportunity to explore new insights in our changing world and inform solutions and policies to preserve our collective dignity and power.
Hi, my name is Sarah Goldman. I am a self-advocate born with cerebral palsy. I also work for the Florida Independent Living Council as the Director of Administration and Youth Initiatives. One of the best things about being involved with Access to the Vote Florida has been the opportunity to get to know all the other agencies in Florida that are working alongside people with disabilities to give them greater access to independence and to voting. And so really, I have loved getting to see that coalition build. And Florida Independent Living Council has been working with Access to the Vote Florida to come up with a curriculum that we can use for the next generation of youth to teach them these rights and accommodations that they can have at the polls. And it's actually going to be presented this summer to a group of youth at the Florida Youth Leadership Forum, which I am really excited about. And so I really think that there's power in numbers and getting people all together at the same table who have the same mission of serving individuals with disabilities and helping them have the most independence, the most empowerment as possible. And Access to the Vote Florida has done a really good job of bringing us all together.
Moving into 2022, some of the things that we plan on working on are poll worker sensitivity trainings for supervisor of elections offices and our conversations with supervisor of elections. One of the things that they have heard, that we have heard from them, is that they feel like the training that they have on disability is inadequate. So they have requested assistance in providing adequate disability training for their poll workers and their staff. And that's something that we hope to be offering, and we're working on that training, and we hope to implement that for 2022 and have that as a resource available for them to use. As I mentioned, accessible vote by mail will be implemented statewide, so we want to make sure that the supervisors of elections have the technical assistance and support they need from us to implement this in a way that isn't going to create barriers for people with disabilities, and that we can assist them with outreach efforts to make sure voters are aware that this is an option for them. We also want to work on youth initiatives. When people think of people with disabilities, typically we think of older adults, people who are in nursing homes or ALFs, but there are younger individuals with disabilities, people who are born with disabilities or acquire disabilities early on in life. And it's very important for them to be civically engaged and be able to exercise their right to vote. So we want to make sure that they're getting the information that they need, that they know their rights, that they know the accommodations that are available to them and that have to be provided to them, so that they can vote privately and independently. And one of the other things that we want to work on and hope to develop is encouraging people with disabilities to run for office, whether that is local office for city and county commission, school boards, all the way up to governor and federal offices, to make sure that we have more disability representation among those elected officials that are supposed to represent us. So we would like to create candidate training to address the needs and the unique circumstances of potential candidates with disabilities, how they go about fundraising and canvassing and phone banking when they may have impairments that make those activities difficult for them. So we will make sure that they have the technical knowledge and support that they need in order to be able to do that. So those are some of the things that we've been working on, that we look forward to working on. We have seen our coalition grow extensively despite the pandemic. This was a coalition that started with 5 or 6 people that now regularly has 30 people attend our meetings. We have over 100 people on our email lists. So we're hoping more people will get involved and that we will be able to continue to grow, continue to offer that support and assistance for voters with disabilities, and work on closing the disability voting gap here in Florida.
As we have stated throughout this presentation, the disability vote is extremely important. Not only does it empower a often underrepresented minority, but it has personal significance to me as well. Voting is the one way we can be heard in America. We live in a representative democracy. I know for me personally, I haven't always been involved in the political process, but I believe it is crucial to a well-educated and diverse society to exercise one's fundamental right to vote. Thank you.